When I realized that the man I married was a sociopath and our entire marriage was a scam, I was shocked. I didn't deserve this. I was a good and honest person. Why did this happen to me? I'm Donna Andersen, author of lovefraud.com, and today I'm going to propose that there may be an unexpected answer to the question. I'm going to talk about intuition, purpose, and sociopaths. Okay, let's get started. Here's my proposition, which you may find a bit shocking. Our awful entanglements with sociopaths may have a larger purpose, and that's our personal spiritual growth. This is a difficult concept, especially when we believe in a benevolent God, universe, or higher power, whatever term you want to use, and that this God or power only wants what's best for us. Why, if God loves us, would he or she want us to experience the deceit, betrayal, and destruction of a sociopath? The answer is that it's short-term pain for long-term gain. In my case, the terrible experience allowed me to unearth internal pain and disappointment that was blocking me from feeling love and peace. My sociopathic ex sensed the negative feelings within me and promised to be the answer to my prayers and the fulfillment of my dreams. It was all a mirage, of course, and he exploited me. But in the end, as much as it grates me to admit it, I benefited from the experience. So, if interactions with sociopaths are beneficial, are we always meant to have them? Does God send these predators to us for our own good? The answer, I believe, depends on our personal spiritual journeys. And how do we know what our journeys are supposed to be? Through our intuition. Many of you have told me or have posted on Love Fraud that your intuition warned you early in the involvement with the sociopath that something was wrong. The story wasn't adding up. You had an uneasy feeling in the pit of your stomach, or the individual gave you the creeps. But for one reason or another, you ignored your intuition and continued the involvement anyway, much to your later regret. This happened to me. You've probably heard me talk about my sociopathic ex-husband, James Montgomery, who took $227,000 from me. But before him, I was involved with another con artist. That time, I lost about $6,000. When I was about to write that large check, I clearly remember a very strong hit from my intuition. Don't do it. But I ignored my intuition and gave him the money. I lost it. Now, here's something important. Although my intuition warned me about the first con artist, my intuition never warned me that something was wrong with James Montgomery. On the contrary, when my logical mind perceived problems and discerned that he was lying to me, I specifically prayed for guidance, asking what to do, and my intuition told me to stay with him. Now, with my ex-husband, this wasn't a case of me missing one subtle warning. I had serious doubts. I knew this man was draining my money. I knew he couldn't be trusted. But I kept receiving guidance to stick it out, that we were experiencing a difficult time, but it would all work out. In fact, I was so distraught about everything that was going on that I brought it up with my energy therapist, and she received all the same messages. It would be okay. Then, when everything fell apart, I asked her, "Do spirit guides mess with you?" She replied, "Sometimes they do." Why? Because in my case, getting involved with that particular sociopath, James Montgomery, fulfilled my spiritual plan. Tangling with a certain sociopath may not have been your plan. I probably didn't need to be involved with the first one. That's why my intuition warned me not to give him that last check. But I allowed myself to be swayed by my own hubris. I thought that I could handle the situation. Perhaps you allowed yourself to be swayed by the sociopath's charm and golden tongue, and now you're watching love fraud videos, trying to recover. If this happened to you, it probably means that your lesson is to listen to your intuition and heed its warnings. You may have missed the lesson before, but you'll never miss it again. So, what does all this mean for people who have sociopathic family members? In those cases, you were born into the family with them. You didn't meet them or have an opportunity to say yes or no to the relationship. I would say that in these cases, you probably were meant to have an opportunity for spiritual growth through the relationship. But at some point, the lesson may be over. At some point, your intuition may tell you that it's time to let go and put the person out of your life. Let me add some perspective here. I mentioned that experiences with sociopaths may be short-term pain for long-term gain. From a universal perspective, long-term is really, really long. In my case, I realized that I had tangled with James Montgomery for multiple lifetimes over thousands of years. If you want to know more, it's all in my first book, which is called Love Fraud. So this time around, I was with Montgomery for 2.5 years. I spent a year divorcing him, and then slightly more than a year after my divorce, I met the true love of my life, Terry Kelly. So yes, the pain of those years with Montgomery were brutal, but the gain was that Terry and I just celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary. Lessons do not have to last forever. Growth can be achieved. When our intuition tells us that we've accomplished what we set out to do, we can congratulate ourselves and move on to fulfillment and happiness. If you need assistance with your recovery, visit lovefraud.com. We have thousands of articles, including many people telling their personal stories. You are certainly not alone. We have webinars by therapists and other experts to help you escape and recover. And I'm always happy to work with you one-on-one. I can give you practical advice and also ease the stress and tension with deep emotional release and Reiki. Check out the links in the window below this video. Even after the sociopath, full recovery is possible. Love Fraud is here to help you.